I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, January the 31st, brought to you in part by Norfenacol by Norbrook. If you see a calf that needs a shot, he needed one yesterday. Norfenacol helps you get to the bottom of BRD fast. Make Norfenacol your first choice in antibiotic. For more information, go to norbrook.com. Also, Unionville Livestock Markets and Creston Livestock Markets in north central Missouri and south central Iowa. They're good markets there, guys. Unionville's got a special calf and yearling sale coming up on Tuesday, February the 4th, and then another one coming up on Tuesday, February the 18th. Mark your calendars for those if you're interested in marketing cattle or buying some top quality cattle out of north central Missouri. Up at Creston Livestock Market in Creston, Iowa, they've got a hay sale here today on Friday the 31st and a regular sale. But their big special all vaccinated calf and yearling sale is coming up here next week, Wednesday, February the 5th, and they'll have a good consignment of both calves and yearlings for that sale. So check those out. Both of them be on DVAuction.com. If there were no Salebarns, where would we be? What do you think these all-time record prices would be on calves and yearlings if we didn't have a sale barn to establish those prices? Would they be anywhere near where we are right now? Let's say you're selling some 4-weight calves weighing close to 500 pounds for $4 a pound. What would those prices be without a sale barn establishing a market and competition? I would be surprised if they would be close to $2 a pound. How are you going to get it? How are you going to get it without a sale barn for competition? Your sale barns are pillars of these rural communities. You know, the sale barn that I talk about all the time up at Beaver, Oklahoma, we raised over $200,000 for our friend Josh Nine there that's struggling with cancer, and he's a new papa, and I saw him on Tuesday, and he had a grin on his face and a positive attitude, so I'm sure glad to see that. But, you know, they're always there when you need them, these local sale barns. If we don't continue to support these local sale barns, we're not only going to not have a calf and yearling market, we've got nobody to help people out whenever times are tough or whenever they need to raise money or what have you, whatever it is. Your local sale barns are always there to do that for you. But the local sale barns provide price discovery. You can find a market with competitive bidding, running those cattle in front of buyers that want them and bidding against one another until they don't want them anymore. That's how you get these all-time record prices, and we wouldn't know what the market is. They provide market transparency. Anybody can go in and sit down and watch those sales. We collect them, you know, automatically through the computer's clerk system. The Federal State Market News collects those for people going in and sitting down and recording the market. But that's how we know what the market is. And we know there's some people that buy cattle off their neighbor or what have you, using the market reports from your auctions. But if we didn't have the auctions, how would you know what to give for the cattle? You know, and you know, we would have none of these record prices, and we have to really appreciate the levels that we're at right now before they deteriorate. We know that's coming. It's going to happen at some point. We're going to fall off this pedestal at some point, but we have to realize where we're at and appreciate it. But without competition, we don't get any of these record prices, guys, at all. You know, and the same could be said in the fat cattle arena. Where would the Southern Plains fat cattle market be without the Northern Plains competitive market where they sell fat cattle every week and they've got leverage on the packers? They've got the best cattle in the world, and they hold on to enough of them in loose hands and sell them themselves in a negotiated manner and get competition from the packers to get these prices. And then they're dragging the Southern Plains along, albeit a long ways back. But without the Northern Plains market, the Southern Plains market would be what? Maybe $1.50? Where do you guys think it would be? They have no leverage, no competition. They promise all the cattle to their individual packer on a formula deal. So where would you get that negotiated cash price to establish all these base prices for these formula deals, for these grid trades and everything else? We do have the Fed Cattle Exchange, which I support, and it's an online trading platform for fed cattle, and they do sell a lot of cattle in the Southern Plains, and almost every week they help provide some competition to establish a decent price for a negotiated price in the Southern Plains. But guys, I just feel like people aren't appreciating the competition, and if you don't have any competition, you can never gain a dollar, ever. I mean, and I say that all the time. If you're selling on a formula deal, and all those formulas are based off last week's market, if you're basing your trades off last week's market, how do you ever gain a dollar? You don't. You have to have the people that are willing to take a chance, go out there, let competition and negotiate it, establish a market price where you can gain a dollar once in a while. But I think we need to appreciate that while we're up here at these all-time record prices. Now here on Friday, we've got the cattle inventory report coming out, and it could be a big market mover. Now we all expect that these inventories on all different classes are going to be lower. How much lower, we don't know. We've got the average of the analysts' guess, and they're not very bullish. I don't think that they've got them low enough, but I think it does leave it open for when the USDA's information comes out that we could have a bullish inventory report, because the average of the analysts' guess are not nearly as low as most of us believe, and I fully think that whenever the actual numbers come back from USDA, they're not going to be nearly as low as what most of us believes out there too. But we are open for a bullish cattle inventory report. The average of the analyst guess on all cattle inventory for January the 1st is for 99.1% of a year ago. That's it. Only 0.9% less than a year ago. I would think it'd be lower than that, guys. Your calf crop, they've got it pegged at 98.5% of a year ago. Your cow inventory at 99.6. Of course, your dairy is at 100.2, so your dairy numbers are increasing, but they've only got your beef cow inventories at just 99.3% of a year ago, and I would think it would be much lower than that. Your beef replacement heifers. Are people really keeping heifers back? I would have thought that it would be in about the same as a year ago, but your average of the analyst guess have it at 101.3% of a year ago, so up 1.3%. I don't know if we've got that many people keeping replacement heifers back or not. Steer calves weighing over 500 pounds, they got those at 98.6. That might be a little bit more in line. And light calves weighing under 500 pounds at 98.1, which I also believe might be a little bit closer to what I would think would be out there. But interesting stuff out there. Now it's the last day of the month. So what does that mean? That means punchy pick winners. And we finally found somebody that stepped up to the plate to sponsor a prize for the Kids Corral. We've been giving the Kids Corral here for, I don't know, probably a year or two, and we just get so many of those picks coming in that just have kids in them, and they're not really that punchy, but they're really cute and they're cool with these young kids being involved in it, and we wanted to recognize them. And finally, we have a sponsor that stepped up to the plate, and it's Great Plains Livestock Consulting, and we thank them. And Great Plains Livestock Consulting consults in all types of different kind of livestock enterprises, especially cattle, including feedlot consulting, cow-calf consulting, bulls or genetic information if you're interested in having some consulting on your purchases there, heifer development, feed, and that's a big one there with your protein levels and things like that. They will help you out with that. or budgeting and profits. So check out Great Plains Livestock Consulting. They are your sponsor of your kids' corral, and they're sponsoring pretty good. They're giving away a $200 gift certificate to Cavender's, which we're glad they're doing that with Cavender's too. Cavender's is a big Western wear outfit, but they also have seed stock production there, and they do have their sale with DVAuction. So we're glad that we're doing that through Cavender's Boot City there. But for the $200 gift certificate this month in the Kids Corral, I'll give you the top three. Third place goes to Nick Gass, and I assume it's his son, Emery Gass, younger fella there. He has healed one doctoring yearlings out on the wheat, and I thought that was a pretty cool picture there for a young fella out there becoming a cowboy, and indeed is already a cowboy, but he's done a pretty good job there. Second place in the Kids Corral goes to Sarah King, and this is 10-year-old Evelyn, and she is pretty in pink, guys. Check out her rig in there. She is pretty in pink, and Evelyn is helping her folks sort cattle there, and she's on her horse named Annie there. So we think Evelyn's doing a heck of a job there, and she's second place in the Kids Corral. But first place and gets the $200 Cavender's gift certificate is Paul Heaton. And you look at Grant Heaton out there, and I tell you what, that just takes guts out there. I mean, let's pretend you're just even sitting in a folding chair out there amongst those cattle, but he's out there in a wheelchair that's got tracks on it. I've never seen a wheelchair like that, but that is really cool. And he doesn't let anything slow him down, even though he has some disabilities there. But I tell you what, he's right in the middle of things and helping them push some cows around there. So congratulations to Paul Heaton and Grant. They win the $200 Cavender's gift certificate from Great Plains Livestock Consulting. Okay, what about your Punchy Pick of the Month contest? Of course, you're going to get the big prize there, but third place in the Punchy Pick of the Month contest is Jeff Harwood, and he has showed you a picture there from Geyser, Montana, and these cows are coming down from the high country. Look how deep that snow is, and it must have took a pretty good rig to push that snow out of the way, but that's the way they do things way up there in the high country, guys. But a cool pick for third place from Jeff Harwood. How about second place? And that comes from Wayne Rogers, and they rescued a cow that had got down up in the mountains there in the San Juan Mountains. But you look at those rigs that they pulled them out there, sledded that cow out to rescue her, and apparently she was in bad shape and needed some help. But that's a pretty cool pick for second place. But the Punchy Pick of the Month winner, grand prize winner, is Ryan Shaney from Holdenville, Oklahoma. And he said this was a typical Monday. He got up in the morning to go check his cattle, and a calf had fell through the ice, and so he had to take a 12-degree swim. And the only thing I think about when I see a picture like that is, where is our PETA people out there? Those people that are for all the animal rights, do they want to jump in there and take a 12-degree swim to help that calf out? Likely not, but cattle producers will, guys. And congratulations to Ryan Shaney. He's going to get all the prizes that go with the Punchy Pick of the Month, and he's going to get some cool swag from NationalBeefWire, feeder flash, cooler stuff than I even have. He's going to get some cool swag from Beaver Feed Company in Beaver, Oklahoma, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, and then of course the whole case of Fairpiece, which is that revolutionary product that is scientifically proven. And I hope that he enjoys all of those prizes and maybe sends a picture back to us about all the prize package that he gets once he gets it. But let's look at your board on Thursday. February live cattle futures were down 255 at 204.47. April was down 345 at 201.50. Back months on live cattle down $1.10 to down 297, so that's pretty stiff losses there. How about feeder cattle for January? They were up 135. Well, why were they up? Well, they have to actually converge, and it's the end of the month. They have to converge with the CME cash feeder cattle index, and so they got really close to that, but they had to jump up to get it. But then, of course, all the rest of your feeder cattle futures months were down hard. March was down 207 at 270, 320. Then your back months down 227 to down 267. So pretty tough there. How about your grains? March corn was up 11 3/4 cent at 497. And actually that was from the previous day there. Wasn't able to get the late day grain futures there on Thursday. But your fat cattle trade, and we did see some significant trade in the southern plains. We've established the market there, getting closer to establishing the market in the northern plains. Iowa sold 3,200, which is significant, but that doesn't necessarily establish the market. They sold 3,500 for the week, but live sales in Iowa on Thursday 209 to 210. I think we can get a little more out of that. Last week it was 212, and I think by the time they get through selling cattle here on Friday, it'll be back up there to 212. But dress prices from 325 to 330, but that's a little bit on the weak side there. Nebraska sold 5,050 head so far on Thursday afternoon, and that's all they've sold all week. But they sold their cash prices at 210, which is respectable, but it's not as good as the 212 that we saw last week. So, you know, that's on the weak side, a couple bucks lower, guys. Dress sales in Nebraska 325 to 330 also. Kansas sold 6,700 head, which is a pretty good movement for them one day. On Thursday, they sold 7,400 for the week. Live prices mostly 208 with a few up to 209. How'd they get the 209? Fed Cattle Exchange with a little bit of competition, guys. And they offered some good high quality commodity cattle in Kansas on Fed Cattle Exchange, and they brought 209, and that was a buck better than anything that they sold on a direct basis. But that 208 is still $6 higher in the southern plains, and I still think, like I said, that the northern plains will get a little bit more by the time they finish up their negotiated trade here on Friday. Texas sold 1,550 on Thursday. That was just they sold 1,000 more than that or actually just 100 more than that earlier in the week. They haven't traded hardly anything, and they never do, but they sold a few cattle in Texas at 208. And like I said, that's $6 higher than what they sold them at last week. But we did see some cattle trade in Colorado, and you say there's no way we can get anything out of Colorado because the rules on mandatory price reporting for confidentiality limit us from seeing that. But on the Fed Cattle Exchange, they sold some bid the grid cattle. They weren't beef on dairy. They were just top quality black beef cattle, and they bring 211. And that's the best price that we saw anywhere quoted on Thursday, and it was on Fed Cattle Exchange, negotiated cash, bid the grid base price of 211 there, guys. And I think anything we get out of Colorado as far as transparency is very important. Let's talk about your box beef cutout values. They were down hard on Thursday. Choice cuts at 327.48, down 306. Selects down 477 at 315.90. Your slaughter through the first 4 days of the week, 484,000. That is 2,000 less than last week, 17,000 less than the same week a year ago. Your actual slaughter information come back for the week ending January the 18th. It saw your average dressed steer carcass weight at 954 pounds, which was lower, 8 pounds lower than the previous report, which was helped out on the lower weights there by winter storm that come across, if you remember, there a couple of weeks ago. But talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services, that's Dakota Moss there in Oklahoma City, and he's got all these agents that work with him, including Steve Anderson that I saw, at the location that I was at in Oxford, Mississippi on Thursday night, where I gave a presentation to about 175 producers from the local Cattlemen's Association, and they were all engaged and they were paying attention and enjoying the presentation I gave. And Steve Anderson gave them some information how they can market their cattle up in South Missouri at Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains. And he has the weekly in-house video that he does there at West Plains. And if they've got load lots or even half load lots to sell, he can help them out there. But he also sells LRPs with Dakota Moss at Livestock Risk Services. And I tell you what, I urge you guys to take a look at this. And I know the feeder board was down hard on Thursday, but it's likely to bounce back up. And if you see some coverage prices out there that would really work for you, I urge you to take some coverage here, because we are way up at the top of this market, guys. Find out more about them at livestockriskservices.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction late in the day on Thursday, after all your Thursday sales had closed, was sitting at 282.11, which was actually about 11 cents lower than Wednesday's final close there, but still sitting pretty high, guys. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index landed at 281.07. I told you it would eclipse 280, and it finally did there, but it was running, like I said, day and a half behind your real-time index there. But look at your big sales on Thursday. How about farmers and ranchers livestock in Salina, Kansas? They had 3,700 head. Feeder steers sell $3 to $5 higher. Feeder heifers were actually steady to $2 lower, so looks like maybe we're starting to plane out a little bit on some ends. Heifer calves, though, were $6 to $8 higher, but a good sale there at farmers and ranchers in Salina, Kansas. How about up in North Dakota at Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Dickinson, North Dakota? Had 3,050 head. Feeder steers $3 to $15 higher. Called by my buddy that reports the market for Federal State Market News, and did a good job there. Steer calves steady to $10 higher. Heifer calves $10 to $15 higher. Feeder heifers were in a very light test, and they sold steady to $10 lower, which you lose $10 on the markets we're at right now, and you're still awful high. But Dickinson, North Dakota was also our National Beefwire Stickout Sale of the day. Look at these best tested weights. How about 486 head of 5-weight steers in Dickinson? They averaged 547 with a weighted average price of $365.03. 475 head of 6-weight steers averaged 648 at $320.35. 278 head of 7-weight steers averaged 740 at $300.12. Look at your heifers. 230 head of 4-weight heifers in Dickinson, North Dakota averaged 463 at $365.76, and 629 head of 5-weight heifers averaged 556 at $337.05. So a good sale there in Dickinson. And I would be amiss if I didn't mention to you that, especially after talking about North Dakota markets, that we did have the passing of Fred Berger here late this week, guys, and they were big, or are still big order buyers up there in North Dakota, and I guarantee you the trade is going to miss Fred Berger there. Also in Napoleon, North Dakota, and that is our individual quote there. Napoleon Livestock sells 72 steers, weighed 745 at $308. How about Columbus Sales Pavilion in Columbus, Nebraska? They sell 90 steers, weigh 600 pounds smooth at $366, and that may be the highest price we've seen all through this rally on a 600-pound steer. A stick-out sale from Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Dickinson was 50 head of steer calves, weighed 533 at $387 and a quarter. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday for where it's at and what it is, you got to pay attention to that too, guys. Jim Mackerson, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of the Paris, Kentucky stockyards. It was 109 head of big feeder steers there through the ring in Paris, Kentucky. They weighed 949 and bring 256.85. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.